All right, so today I'm working on a 2002 Honda Civic Si. I'm gonna show you guys the quickest way that I know how to get this transmission off. It involves dropping the subframe, and then you're able to take the transmission out. So I've done this job a couple times now, and I've done it twice by myself at this point. So this is gonna be showing you how to do this all by yourself. Obviously, it's going to be way easier if you have a friend, especially to help you with the subframe and to help you with breaking the transmission off the engine. But yeah, it could be done solo. This is video proof. So let me show you. First thing you're going to want to do is break your axle nut. So I would suggest this setup. Just stick the screwdriver in there, wedge it into the rotor. And then this is a 32 on an EP3, it's a 32. On a RSX Type S, it's a 36. And then just crack it. These are supposed to be like punched in actually. So like where that divot is, right on the end of the axle, on the spindle right there, that divot, usually it's like punched in. And if yours is like that, you just take a flathead and you bend it out and then you break it. But honestly, I just torque them down. I don't even do that. I just torque it down real good. We're gonna start by taking off the brakes. So rotor, caliper, bracket, right? You got the 2 bolts for the caliper bracket back here. And then disconnect the knuckle from the strut. So you got this and this down here, right? Take those off. And then I already have my ABS sensor off, but you would take that off from back here, right? It sits right there, so you just take it off. I left the bolt in there, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's do that. All right, this took way too fucking long. This was like the hardest part about this whole thing. Once you secure this, right, and then you get that axle nut out and you have everything out of the way, then you could just pop this out. Come on, you fucker. There you go. You gotta talk to it. You gotta convince it. Fucking pop out this axle. All you do, look, on the driver's side, you can just get a pry bar, just like that. Boom. I just did it with one fucking hand. Take it out, put it to the side. The other thing that we got to do is disconnect, where is it, the end link from down here, and then the sway bar bushing bracket right here. Keep in mind that usually you I think you put like an Allen key right there in that stud, right, and then you could take that nut off, but I think this one just spins. We could leave the sway bar just like that, but it should be disconnected from the subframe and the lower control arm, and then you should have all this moved over and disconnected with the axle out. So then we just gotta do that on the other side. Once you do all that to the other side, now we're on the passenger side. Once you do all that to the other side, then you'll have the sway bar just hanging like that, right? You can just let it sit on the down pipe. See right there, it's just hanging on my down pipe. And then if you took the axle out as well, then you're looking at the intermediate shaft. The intermediate shaft's got 3 bolts, this one and that one, and then there's one more on the other side, like right there. So it goes 1, 2, and then 3. So there's only 3. It makes like an L shape, like a backwards L. And once you got all the bolts out, you should just be able to pull, and then it just pops right out. I forgot to mention too, that axle on that side you pry out. This axle on this side, the shaft in front of the intermediate shaft, right? The passenger side axle, you could smack with a hammer, it'll come right out. The subframe is pretty free because this lower control arm isn't attached to anything, right? So, and the sway bar is off, so the subframe is almost free. I think it's just holding on by the motor mounts, so that's what we're gonna go to next. Before we fuck with the motor mounts, we want to support the motor, right? So that when we drop the subframe, the motor just stays in place. So I'm also using a smaller jack. So this is the smallest one that I have, this trolley jack, because when the subframe drops down, you kind of want that space to be as clear as possible so that you could pull the subframe this way, right? Because this is going to be in the way, so you won't be able to completely clear out the subframe. If that doesn't make sense, then you'll understand when you drop it. But when you drop the subframe, you want to move it away from that area, and it gives you the biggest working space for taking off that transmission. All right, so you can see I got my impact right there on the front mount. So this is right here in the front, so let me take this off. All right, so we got the nut off of this bolt, and should just be able to so we should just be able to tug at it, but it's kind of stuck there. For the front mount, you can just take out the bolt, right? Mine is stuck, so I'm probably gonna move the subframe around a little bit. When I start dropping it, then we can sneak this guy out. We got the threads out, so that bolt's ready to come out. And then for the rear, you could do the same thing. So I cracked the yeah, that's that one. That's the center mount bolt. I cracked that one already, right? But that one's a bitch to get out. The downpipe's in the way. So instead, I'm just gonna take the 3 bolts off for the bracket. So there's one right here that I just broke, right? And then here's one right there. So break that. So you got these 2 down here, right? Then 3rd one right there on the top. All right, so I've gone around and hit every single subframe bolt. So the 3 of them over there, so they all have a gap. That's what it looks like. So they're all gapped like this, right? So this is the last one. So when we hit this one, hopefully the subframe drops down, because there shouldn't really be anything holding on to it. We took all the bolts off. All the bolts are loose on this bracket, right? The 2 down here and the 1 up there. And then this front mount too. Yeah, this front mount, we just got to get that bolt out. There we go. Cracked it. Probably want to move away from all the shit coming down. Even though it's not going to drop right now, you still just don't really want to fuck with that. There we go. You see how the subframe came down with the bolt? So that means it's working. So now, if we look over here, now this is gonna have to come out. So it feels exactly the same. I just want to explain to y'all real quick, because this is gonna be probably one of the more difficult parts of the beginning shit. At least these bolts get stuck easily, so I just kept lowering each subframe point, right? So I kind of dropped the back a lot, and then I knew that the front was going to hang on because that bolt was stuck, right? So I have the front supported, and then I have some gap here. I was kind of wiggling it around, kind of messing with the subframe gap, and eventually, right now it's loose, but eventually the tension broke and I was able to wiggle it, right? And once it was wiggling like this, I just kept yanking, and eventually it just popped out and then came all the way out. So nothing's holding that front mount, and the rear mount is actually going to stay on the subframe, and that bracket is going to come down with the subframe. So nothing's on the there's no weight on the rear mount because the bracket's disconnected. So at this point, let's go ahead and drop the subframe. We can catch the subframe on both areas, right? So like right here, I'm gonna set this up so that it's right there. But we're gonna do the same thing to the back as we just did to the front. So we wanna move all this shit. We wanna position this the right way. And right here is what I was talking about. So this guy right here likes getting caught on the subframe right here. So just gotta make sure that that doesn't happen, and you should be good. So Yeah, let's do this. See, it's not that complicated. Keep in mind that this is about to drop, so you don't really want to be too close. All right, we're golden. Let's go. And then right here, boom. And that's it. Let's drop this. And look at that, it's getting caught. This guy right here was getting caught on the bottom of the rear mount. So just be careful with that. But yeah, we almost got it down. We just gotta lower the front and then that's it. And that's it. She's on the ground. Oh. So you can see it's resting on this jack. So I guess you can kind of understand now. It's not gonna be able to get past this trolley jack in the middle that's holding the motor up. And you can see the sway bars caught on that side. So it's not perfect. Oh, there we go. I'll show you guys that I moved the subframe as far away from the transmission as I could. So we got plenty of space now to work underneath the transmission. We'll get a jack under there, support it, and then just pop off the bell housing bolts and wiggle it off and then catch it with the jack and lower it. So before we do all that, now we got this transmission mount right here, right? So we want to use this for as long as we can. So I'm gonna go ahead and clear out this space. So move these cables out of the way, right? You can see I already started disconnecting them. Yank out the bushing, then you just wiggle it, press it forward like that. You just push it forward and then lifts out. Oh yeah, and you have these guys on there too. I forgot, I had already taken them off. So you just get a flat head underneath and then you just pry up with the flat head. You kind of twist it around, get it in that gap, and it'll just pop off. So I'm gonna take off the rest of these plugs and such, right? You got one here, and then your reverse lockout right here, which I have disconnected. But so you got 3 plugs to take off. Take the cables off. You got your slave cylinder is the slave cylinder bolts right there and right there. And then once those bolts come out, then that whole slave just gets loose and you can push it to the side. Usually this is connected, but my transmission, this is broken. And then you also have a ground cable, right? There's a ground cable down here. It's this guy right there. Focus, that guy, yeah, right there. You're gonna want to take this bottom tray out too. This guy, it comes out. You got 2 12s on the top, right here. Oh, and right here. And then you got 2 12s on the bottom, like right here and right here, but from underneath. Then when you take all that out, this pops right off, just like that. So once you take off these bolts, you'll see this kind of just moves around, and then you can just take it out of the transmission, right? And then you just, at this point, you just this thing's gonna be in the way, so I'm probably just gonna zip tie it to, I don't know, some shit. I mean, right there it's actually pretty snug, but when you're dropping the transmission, you can get caught on this. See, like this hard line, these cables too. So you gotta pay attention. See, this is why it's better to take the battery out and the tray, because you have all this space. So you can't forget about that ground. Yeah, so there you go. Disconnected it. So if you put it all back together and you go to start the car and it doesn't crank, then you probably forgot this. All right, so you could tell we got a lot more space to work with now. We got these disconnected. Might as well disconnect these too up here. Don't forget about them. You don't have to disconnect them, but it'll just give you more clearance to move this around. And this is broken on my car, but you're gonna want to move this channel as well. I think it's like, look, this has some kind of, oh, I don't even know what the fuck this is. Oh, this goes right there. Wow, that was disconnected. I don't know what this sensor is, but you probably want it connected, I assume. Shit, I don't know what that is, but yeah, so that guy right here too, if you want to move this, probably unplug that. So now this is all loose, so we're getting closer. I think next what we're gonna do is put some fluid. Take out the fluid. So before we take out the transmission fluid, I would suggest, I already know that I'm gonna be good, but I would suggest making sure you could open the fill bolt so that you know for sure you can get fluid back in. Because if you take the fluid out, you're gonna have to put it back in. I've never dropped the transmission with fluid inside. I don't think that would be a good time, but just saying, like that, you need to make sure you can get the fluid back in. So we're gonna crack this. There we go. So I'm gonna actually put it hand tight again because obviously we're not filling it up. Oh, this is still tight. So just keep it on there tight. But yeah, your drain bolt is right here. So you just put a 3/8 ratchet in there, or extension, or whatever the fuck, and just turn it and it will come out. I just found a empty gallon of water and I just cut the top off. But it's real important to make sure that number one, it's clean in here, and number two, there's no water. So I wiped it down, made sure there's no water droplets or anything. All right, so that's loose. So now we can get this ready. Hopefully we don't drop too much dirt, or any dirt really. And yeah, wish me luck. Oh, nice. Perfect. At this point, you should be pretty much ready to start cracking on those bell housing bolts. You can see we got the jack set up here. It's ready to catch the transmission when the motor and trans sag, when we take off that trans mount on top. But one thing I forgot, this is the front mount, right? We're gonna leave the front mount attached. You could take it off, but I'm gonna leave it just hanging. But actually these two bolts on the transmission side, they need to come off. So I already cracked them, so just gotta take them off. But yeah, the third bolt on the other side, it sits on the, it bolts onto the motor side. So it's up to you if you want to take that off or not. It's kind of tough to fit a ratchet in there, but obviously it's doable. It's not that hard. There's also a hidden bell housing bolt behind this. So you're gonna have to swing this mount to the side anyways. And one thing to note, this is the longer, these bolts are different sizes, right? They're both from the front mount. This is the longer bolt, it goes on the bottom, and then here's the shorter bolt. The shorter bolt goes on the side, on the top. All right, so we got two bolts actually, 2 bolts and 1 nut right there that we need to get at. Nice, it did work. I don't know if you saw, but the whole transmission kind of just shifted. So we took everything out. So all these are out. This trans mount bracket can be such a pain in the ass too, because of this thing mostly. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and crack this bolt, but I'm not really gonna take it out. I'm just gonna loosen it. So the point of that was to get this loose. So you see, this will this allows this to, let's move these cables. This loosening this bolt will allow this to pivot. So when the transmission's off, it will be able to swing all the way around. For now, it's fine like this. We're gonna drop the transmission, and hopefully this bracket will just come off easily. We could just wiggle it off, and we should be good. Here's another thing that I forgot about actually. So you got these guys too. You got this guy, you got this flywheel cover. It's gonna look different if you have a 5-speed versus a 6-speed, I think. You got one right there where I'm taking out. Take this out. And you got this last one right here. So once this comes out, then the flywheel cover will drop down. We're pretty much ready to take these bell housing bolts out and then drop the trans. You're just gonna go around and find all the bell housing bolts. There's some on each side. I already showed you one earlier, but in particular, the starter does not need to come out. This is the starter right here, this guy. But this is a starter bolt. It's the lower starter bolt. That's the only one that needs to come out for the starter. The other ones can stay. So you just move the mount right here, the front mount, just swing it to the side. See, that's why I was saying you could just leave it connected because it's not too big of a deal. Just move it out of the way. Then you got this bolt right here. So you have long ones and then short ones. So I don't know if there's more sizes because I'm actually missing a couple bell housing bolts. But so if you're missing some bell housing bolts or you can't get them back in, don't stress out too much about it because I've been daily driving like this for a while. There's no problems. But yeah, I have two sizes, big and small. So just keep track of them and where they go. So this is another issue. You don't really have too much fucking clearance once you drop this subframe. You don't really want to be under the car too much. You can't. There's not enough space. So just keep that in mind. I'm struggling here. But there's another two bolts. There's one where my socket is, obviously. So that's one bell housing bolt. That's out. And then there's another one right there. Mine's actually empty. It doesn't have a bolt there, but there is one right there as well. Yeah, this looks like a good spot right there. It's not a great spot. To be honest, we can see this back part of the transmission is slanted, so I don't like using that, but it'll be fine. Keep in mind, you're gonna be shaking the transmission to unpair it from the motor, right? So you just want the jack kind of out of the way. Man, I was just standing here right now trying to figure out which fucking bolts haven't we gotten. The ones on the top right here. So these are the last ones for me. Need to get these guys off, and then we'll be golden. Then we can move on to dropping the transmission. Hopefully this hasn't taken you too long. This hasn't taken me too long. Keep that there for safekeeping. Got this one. So these are short. The short ones, leave them all right there. So for me, it was just 5 of them, keeping the the bell housing bolted to the fucking motor. All right, so the last thing that I'm gonna do before we drop this, or before we attempt to drop this, is I'm actually gonna lower the motor a little bit. So this is a tiny bit sketchy because we don't wanna lower the motor too much, just a little bit. And what that's gonna do is gonna give us the tilt that we want. So right now everything's pretty level, but what we want is for the transmission side, right, to tilt down like that. So since we still have this motor mount up here, and I have an aftermarket one, I have an innovative one, so this is usually a pillow mount with liquid inside. I don't know how much stress that could take, but this is a aftermarket mount, so I'm more confident in it. So that mount is bolted up completely. So the passenger side's not gonna move at all with the motor, right? So we should expect some tilt instead, since this side's being lifted up by that mount, right? Or held up. So let's lower this a little bit. Whoa, whoa, whoa. You see, this is why this is sketchy. This is still good, but you saw that moved real fast. So we just gotta be careful. But now, we didn't even really get too much tilt, but the transmission did drop a lot. So you know what? I think, fuck it, we're ready to pry. And look at this. This is free. This is exactly what you want to see. I'm gonna put the clutch line above this bracket right here, so this holds on to it. We're gonna do one last sanity check, make sure that nothing is because if anything's on the transmission, it's gonna get ripped off when you drop this shit down. Another thing, you want to see this gap. You see this? We haven't even pried anything yet, and we already have a gap. And the gap runs, it should run all along the, yeah, you can see right there, all along the side of the motor, on both sides. So this would be where I would suggest to pry from, right here, because this is naturally sticking out. I could probably do it with my hand, but I'm gonna go get a pry bar. All right, here here we go. So you can see, it's not really, maybe right here would be a little better. Since we already have the gap, we're just gonna, all right, it's coming off. Oh, look at that gap, huge. But now we got that big old gap, so the gap is big enough to try and go free it. This is also gonna get caught right here. It's not gonna get caught for me, but if it's a little higher for you, it'll get caught right here. So just be mindful of this. But yeah, we should be good. Let's go down here. Let's try and break this off. This engine harness always gets fucking stuck when I pop this off. So yeah, just move it out of the way, move it to the side. All right. Now, I'm gonna try and jack it up a little bit. Maybe that's what it needs. I'm gonna go up on the top and kind of lift it a little bit. This is what it's all about. You just gotta get a good wiggle. There it goes. Yeah, you know what? This, for me, this bracket's gonna have to come off. This is real sketchy like this, but I just want to show this to you. Yeah, I'm having problems with this. I told you this bracket's a bitch. So we're just gonna shoot this right off real quick. Here's another thing too, in case anything happens. I'm gonna have my hand secured to the transmission. I don't expect to hold it like this, but I expect to prevent tilt or wobble or anything like that in case it just falls straight onto the jack. You never know. Just gonna take this bolt out, put it over here. Now this bracket is free. So now I'm gonna just shake it. This should be good. I'm gonna try and lower it. There it goes. There it goes. There you go, guys. And that's how you do it. That's how you take the fucking motor, the engine off the fuck. That's how you take the fucking transmission off the motor. All right, guys. So I just want to show you this. This is what was preventing me from starting my car. I knew this was wrong. I didn't put it in like this. I put it in, I think, the right way. I definitely didn't put it like this, unless I'm just an idiot. Maybe I was just going too fast. This thing, yeah. Oh, look at that. Oh, that sucks. I don't know what's up with that, guys. I don't really know. I don't understand what, oh, look at that. This broke off. Man, I don't know. Look, it's right here. Look at this. I don't know why this happened. I must have put it on wrong. Obviously, I'm not a mechanic. Again, probably there's someone someone watching this video like, look at this idiot. I know how to fix shit, but I don't really know what caused this to happen. So yeah, this just broke off. So this is no good, I guess. Shit, look at that. After putting it back, it's just kind of doing the steps in reverse, but putting this shit back, it's a bitch. Man, I'm not looking forward to it, but I got to figure out that issue with the throw bearing first. This is a little update to the throw bearing situation for me personally, right? This doesn't have to do with dropping the trans, but I took off the clutch and flywheel. You just need a 12-point socket. I think this one was a 10 and this one was a 17, 12-point sockets. with the throwout bearing. I was thinking maybe my pilot bearing's fucked because I didn't change that. Dude, I don't know what the fuck it's supposed to do, but I feel like it's not supposed to look like this. Like, I don't know. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like this shit looks all fucked up. It looks all fucked up. Look at that. But I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is fine, but probably not. Maybe this is why my car wouldn't start and why it ate up that throwout bearing. I mean, am I even supposed to be able to pull it out like this? I don't think I am. Look at this fucking shit. Is it supposed to be broken right there? Is that is that normal? It could be normal. Honestly, I don't know. I'm not really sure. But I don't think this wear is normal. This looks all fucked up. So yeah, this might have been my issue. But unfortunately, I'm not gonna know for a couple days because just put that back. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna know for a couple more days because I gotta wait for the clutch kit. But yeah, don't be like me. Don't change. Don't take shortcuts. I thought I could just put a new throwout bearing, but nope. Fucked this one up, and the car didn't even start. So I think I know what I need to do. But yeah, that's gonna be it. Hopefully this was useful to at least one person, and yeah, cool.